want to talk about iridology, and I've probably talked about this in a few videos, but a friend put up a picture of his eyes, and people were and asked for some comments about it from people that know about iridology, and it's about looking at your eye, look at that, and being able to tell if someone's got certain problems or illnesses or diseases from their eyes. Um, I don't know if there's been a huge amount of research on it or whatever, but what I do know is if you go into a doctor, um, if they're going to diagnose you with an illness, they don't tend to look at your eyes unless it's an eye problem. Not that I know much about diagnosing illnesses, but unless the symptoms are to do with the eyes, it's unlikely they're going to look at your eyes because they've got way more accurate ways of assessing a person's um, state of disease or whatever you want to call it than looking at the eyes. So, and what chance does someone who's trained in iridology got of being more accurate than doctors who are trained with methods and techniques that are way more accurate? I mean, if you suspected that you had a problem like diabetes or something, would you get someone to have a look at your eyes, or would you get a doctor to do blood tests, urine tests, and all these kind of things? Well, the obvious answer is the latter. If you were concerned that you might have AIDS or a sexually transmitted disease or a bacterial infection, or would you go to an iridologist? The answer is always no. You would always go to a doctor or someone that can actually look at blood, take a sample, send it away to a laboratory, all that kind of stuff, because it's way more accurate. Even if there was any truth in the idea that you can look at a person's eyes and assess their state of health. That doesn't stop iridology from being a successful business model. And what we've got to realise in life is that something being successful, something being out there in the public domain, something having a lot of people behind it, Donald Trump, whatever, doesn't make it right or good or anything else. It just means that it fills a gap for people. It touches a nerve emotionally for people, an emotional need, and people make decisions based on emotion, generally not on logic, and they justify decisions with logic, but make decisions based on emotion very often. Iridology, from what I've ever seen, is a person puts up a picture of their eyes and they're always told that they are in quite a bad state of health, even if the person is quite clearly glowing with health, you know. I mean, we're all dying, we're all slowly dying here, but, but um, some of us are farther away from disease than others, or death than others. And I remember having my eyes. I wasn't asking for iridology, but I just had a picture of my eye, and people started to analyze it from an iridology perspective, and started to say weak lymph, genetic, weak this and that, saying all these things were like my lymph wasn't draining and all this stuff about lymph and kidneys, all this stuff from people like Dr. Robert Morse, who does stuff like that. I'm really sorry to burst the bubble for people that like the guy, but I mean, iridology is a way for certain people in the health industry to make money. It's a sales technique. It's a gimmick that's worked for a long time. It's like it's the same thing like taking an aura photograph, or like an aura photograph, or all sorts of things. it's appealing to people because it feels personal, like you're going to find out something about you. And at the Woodstock Fruit Festival, there was a guy that was um, taking people into a room, iridology, and he was saying he was going to do iridology for people, and he would come round and talk to people, and everyone, and a lot of people found this guy very charming and nice, and probably believes in what he's doing and stuff like that. But they would go to the room with them, and he would charge them, like, he would tell them it was like $200 or something for the assessment. And why? And by no, and a lot of people didn't really think. I don't know if they even thought they were getting charged for it or whatever. And I think he collected quite a lot of money off of people. Who should really know better, because, which is a shame in this kind of movement. There's a lot of people that still don't really know any better, I suppose. But a lot of people are convinced of themselves that they've got a problem. Unfortunately, I know a few people like that. In fact, I know a lot of people like that who are convinced they've got some kind of disease or issue. They go to a doctor. The doctor says they're fine, or they're average, or there's nothing particularly wrong with them, and they're not happy with that. They want to believe they've got something wrong with them. They're scared. They've got some reason to believe it. They've got some neurosis about it. And instead of listening to a doctor's advice or whoever, they'll go and look for something else, some other problem. And their symptoms are just the same symptoms that everyone else has in the world. They're tired, they're stressed, they're not feeling good, they're tired. They're just getting old. They're getting older and they're stressed. But to them, and they're not eating that well, so they're putting on weight and all this. But they can't just accept that that's what it is. And, they should eat better and exercise, all the rest of it. They want to believe there's something wrong with them. So someone in that state of mind sees an iridologist, pays $200, whatever, gets an examination and gets told, blah, 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 you've got this, you've got that, this is wrong with you, that's wrong with you, genetic weakness. And this thing, a genetic weakness thing, they always talk about genetic weakness. Genetic weakness. And it makes people feel like, that's why I've never been able to run a marathon or something, genetic weakness or whatever. It just justifies things in people's minds. And of course there'll be some herbs or something else that will be sold, and it's just a sales process that takes advantage of a certain fear, a certain desire that people have. That's all it is. It'll have been done for hundreds of years, hundreds and hundreds of years. The exact same process will be done. It'll be done in 100 years' time, because that's the nature of how things work. It's various human emotions. And I know some very, very intelligent people that go on about iridology or mention it. And I'm sure that people's eye colour does change. Sometimes they change in diet, and there's reasons for that. But all I'm saying is it's never going to be as accurate. And I don't know if you were pregnant or something, you wouldn't go to an iridologist to confirm it. It's like no one would do it. When would you ever go to an iridologist over the conventional medical? Now, that doesn't mean you go to medical people for advice on how to live a healthy lifestyle and avoid disease, but they're the experts on telling you if you've got a disease or not. And there is always scare stories of people that didn't get diagnosed and things like that, so it does happen. But that's my thoughts and reflections on iridology. Doesn't matter how healthy a person is, they'll never be told that Show your eyes. Last thing an iridologist is going to say is, brilliant, you're in great health, fantastic, fantastic. It's like going to a car mechanic. They're never going to tell you your car's amazing. You don't need you don't need any work. They're going to tell you this is wrong, that's wrong. The the thing you need to do it right now, and that's how it all works. Well, you do need to change your health right now, but the way you start doing that is moving towards is getting in line with the laws of nature that determine health, basically, which is to start getting all the things that are healthful in the correct levels at the correct amounts. The thing that most people are getting wrong is their diet, which is why you need to move towards more fruits and vegetables, and eventually a diet that consists primarily or almost entirely of fruits and vegetables, because that's the healthy diet for the human species. And then get everything else: sunshine, friendship, joy, laughter, meaningful, meaningful work. Many different things. But it's not going to come from herbs, and it's not going to come from an iridologist, I don't believe. Okay, thank you very much. Feel free to like, share, subscribe. Subscribe to the videos if you want to see more, and and leave a comment and let me know what you think about this issue and what your experiences have been. Thank you.